Hello there, this is Coach Ajit. In today's video, we are discussing a very interesting topic that you may be wondering already in 2022. As 2022 kicks off, a lot of us started wondering, how do I double my coaching business this year? How do I really create massive growth in my coaching business this year? I'm a life coach. What can I do? I'm a business coach. Which business strategy should I use? I'm a health coach. Is there a way really that I can double my coaching business in 2022? Well, this is the perfect video for you if you were looking for ideas, looking for strategies, looking for shifts that can help you double your business in 2022. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 very specific shifts that you need to create in your life, in your being, for you to be able to achieve that kind of growth. The first is going to be a psychological shift. The second will be a strategic shift. And third would be a tactical approach that you can use to be able to increase your income, increase your revenue in 2022. Now, before I get into the shifts, if there is for any reason you haven't subscribed to this channel, I really invite you to hit that red subscribe button and also hit that bell icon so you can get a notification every single time you post a new video. One of the ways to grow your business at any point of time is to keep growing as a person, keep learning as a person. We create some of the best, most impactful videos on YouTube about coach training, which means that if you want to grow as a coach this year, well, this is probably the channel you want to subscribe to. So go ahead, hit that red subscribe button and bell icon so you can get a notification. And while you do that, let's talk about the first shift. The first shift is something that you may have already facilitated with your clients, and that is a psychological shift. Any change, any growth, any big outcome that you want to create in your life first starts in your mind. It starts with the vision that you have of yourself. It starts with something that changes in the way you look at something, the way you perceive something. You already know that because you've already done that with your clients. You may have done that as a mindset coach. You might have even done it as a health coach, as a behavior coach, as a life coach, as a business coach. Because any shift that you want to bring about in somebody's life, you got to start with the psychology. You got to start with the mind. So what is the psychological shift that you need to be able to double your coaching business in 2022? Here is something for you to ponder. Do you have absolute clarity what it means to double your coaching business? You see, a lot of times we set out goals that just sound really good. I want to double my business. I want to create 1,000% growth in my business. I want to create a 500% growth in my business. I want to have 50% growth in my business. But we never really ponder on what does that mean? What does that mean, doubling of your business? What does it mean to double your coaching business? What does it mean for your workflow? What does it mean for your spirit, for your soul? What does it mean for your reality that you currently operate from and operate in? Are you clear about what does it actually mean, doubling your business? And the reason why this question is so very important, and this question is the first one to answer, is when we don't have a sense of clarity of what that shift needs to happen in you, in your soul, in your body, in your reality, when we are starting to work on the strategy and the tactical stuff, we find ourselves struggling to make those changes, even if we know that those changes need to happen. Is because we don't have a strong enough psychological buy-in to the goal itself. It is something that we set out to do because it sounds good, but we never really bought into the idea. We never committed to saying, I will do everything and anything, and I know exactly what it means for me to double my coaching business. So the first question you want to ask yourself to psychologically shift yourself towards a growth orientation that you would like this year is to ask, what does it mean? Get really clear on what does it mean to actually double your business. Does it mean that your schedule is going to be twice as busy? Or does it mean that your schedule needs to be half as busy? Does it mean that you will be attending more events? Does it mean that spiritually you'll invest more time with yourself? Does it mean that you're going to shift yourself emotionally and physically? Or does it mean that you will be invested even more physically, emotionally? I'm asking these questions because I've found coaches like yourself struggling physically, emotionally in their relationships because they commit to this doubling of the business, but they don't fully understand what it implies, what it really will take if they were to double their business. What are the negotiables and non-negotiables in actually creating that shift? So first of all, get really, really clear. What does it mean for you to double your business? The next question you want to ask yourself to psychologically create shifts and clarity towards this doubling vision or doubling of your business vision is ask yourself, how does it look like economically? How does it look like physically in my body? How does it look like for my soul? So the first question we were talking about general idea. Hey, what does this mean for me to double the business, right? And some things will come through fairly easily, some things won't. And then the second question is to bring more specificity to the first part of the question, which is to really identify, okay, what does it mean to double your business economically, right? Does it mean you have more money? Does it mean you have more revenue? Does it mean you have more profit? What does it mean physically? Does it mean that you're working out harder and taking care of your nutrition and your health and well-being because you are trying to double your business? Or it means something else? And what will it require according to you from your point of view? And also, what does that mean spiritually for you? And as you answer these questions, I want you to lean into the third question that is going to be so very important as you grow, because you will know exactly when you're starting a trend or a direction that you appreciate or not appreciate. The next question is, what are going to be your personal boundaries and what are going to be your professional boundaries? What are going to be some of your personal boundaries that you are willing to not negotiate to get this growth? For example, for me, it's very important that I finish my work at a particular time, irrespective of the growth I'm achieving, because that means I get to go home, spend time with my wife, my family, my kids, and I want to never negotiate that. For that matter, my working time ends much before that, because the first thing that happens before even I go back home is I go to the gym. And I must absolutely do that. That's a non-negotiable for me, because I know that if I want to perform at the level I perform, I must be in peak health condition. And to maintain that, I have to take care of my nutrition, which happens through the day, and then I have to take care of my physical endurance, my structure of my body. And because of that, I need to go to the gym. I absolutely need to do it, even if it means only 30 minutes in the gym. But I absolutely must invest that time in myself, and those are non-negotiables personally. And then comes professional boundaries, which is things like, what is the price I'm not willing to negotiate? What are the rules I'm not willing to bend? For example, if you want to work with the EverCoach team, if you want to get one of our programs, there's a price limitation to everything. There's special prices for different categories of clients that we have. We have certain standards of quality that we are willing to not negotiate. There is no way any certification will fall below 80 and Net Promoter Score. There is none of our quests that fall below 50 and Net Promoter Score. And under professional boundaries, I would also have professional boundaries that would be around, say, quality score of our products. Our products are very highly rated in the industry, probably the most highest rated in the industry. And we have that as a boundary. If a product does not meet our quality standards and is not creating the results that we envision for our students, well, it's simple. It goes away. Just a few years ago, I deleted about 60% of products that were on EverCoach because we realized that their Net Promoter Scores were way too low for our boundaries around what quality is. So today, none of our quests, none of our programs are below a 50 Net Promoter Score, which is pretty high for online digital products. The quality of our content and quality of our products is a boundary that we have, and you can't just cross it. And because of these boundaries, we're able to maintain a certain amount of integrity with the product, certain amount of integrity for the growth, certain amount of integrity and clarity of what it means for us to grow, and what are we willing to sacrifice and what are we not willing to sacrifice and not willing to negotiate for this growth. Knowing what you're willing to do is important for growth, but it's also very important to know what you're not willing to do, because that is what really helps you when growth actually is happening. These boundaries are extremely powerful in you being able to navigate what's okay, what's not okay in the time when things will get really tempting as you will implement the strategies and tactical know-hows that we're going to talk about. And the last question, and the last psychological shift that you need to bring about is to really question, how would you like this journey to unfold for you to love it? You see, the growth goal of I want to double my coaching business by 2022 or end of 2022 is a fantastic goal. But goals are more like compass. They are more there to direct your energy towards what your focus should be. But they're not the actual experience. Have you ever completed the goal, ran through a finish line, and realized that while it was amazing, it felt amazing for a day, maybe two, but soon enough, you realize that the goal itself, or the satisfaction and completion of the goal, is pretty short-lived compared to the journey that it took for you to get to the goal. So the journey is what you need to love. So ask yourself the question, what would I do? What would my journey need to look like for me to absolutely love it? This will help you define better strategy for your growth. Now let's talk about strategic changes that you need to bring and strategic shifts that you need to bring for you to be able to create this level of growth. The first thing that you need to do is to set goals and identify tasks. Now, I know the moment you heard it, you're like, Ajit, really, that's your strategy, write goals. But stick with me for a second. It's more to it than just set goals and identify tasks. You see, setting goals, or most goal setting, look like here's where I would like to be in a year from now. Let's say you're doing 100,000 every year right now, you want to get to 200,000. That's your goal. That looks like your goal, that's great. But while setting that goal a year from now is great, what is going to happen is every month and every week, you're going to evaluate your journey towards the goal. And when you're evaluating your journey towards the goal, when you are starting something, when you're just starting to take off, the growth is slow. No business grows like this. Like, it's not a straight line, right? It kind of is more like a curve. It's almost like a airplane liftoff, right? So there's a lot of energy being spent in creation, and suddenly something strikes and you start to fly. And that is what probably your growth is going to look like. A lot of things will not work when you're starting. You will be setting up systems and then suddenly something will strike and you will start to fly. So my invitation for you would be to ask yourself not only what's the goal for the end of the year, but further break it down. What does your goal look like on a monthly basis? And once you've identified what you're going to achieve on a monthly basis, break it down by weekly. You might not be able to break down your goals for the entire year if your business is still fairly new, but you can define it for the next 6 months. Heck, even next 3 months. But identify your monthly goals for the entire 12 months and then break it down by weeks for at least the next 3 months. So you have sense of clarity towards the goals per week for the next 12 weeks. And here's a pro tip. Before the 12 weeks are over, define the next 12 weeks and so on and so forth. The more your goals are clear on a week-to-week basis, easier it is for you to stick to them. The more they are undefined and kind of like in the air and you're just chasing this big audacious goal that you've set for the end of the year, the more likely you are to fall off the wagon and not actually achieve your goal. And that's why it's so critical to know what setting goals even means, right? So setting goals doesn't mean setting that one big goal at the end of the year. Setting goals means what is it that I'm doing on a monthly basis? What is it that I'm doing on a weekly basis? Now, once you've identified these goals, once you have said, okay, this is my monthly goals and these are my weekly goals, identify what needs to happen. What actually needs to happen for these goals to come true? What are the tasks that need to be delivered for each of these goals? The identification of tasks is such a key to success of any goal. Because once you know which tasks are going to need to happen, now you can really see, is this too much or too little, right? Because now tasks are real. Tasks are not some hypothetical. Task is not maybe you'll get it, maybe not. Task is something that you get done. Task is what you can commit to. You can say, I will absolutely get this task done, and I cannot associate if my task will actually deliver the result, but I'll get the task done. You see, a lot of long-term goal achievement has to do with the systems that you have in your life, the habits that you have in your life, the way you deal with stuff in your life. And because of that, it becomes so very critical for you to identify these tasks and then assign yourself these tasks so you can keep doing them without associating so much about it to the goal. Goals happen as outcomes of a lot of tasks being done repeatedly in a quality way over time. And so it's important for you to identify these tasks and be able to write them down and say, okay, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen for me to finally achieve my weekly goal, my monthly goal, my yearly goal. And because of that, you will be more likely to actually achieve your goals. And the last thing that you need within the scope of setting goals and identifying tasks is milestones. How would you know that you made progress? How is it that you have an indicator that says, well, I made some progress in this direction? Now, these can be also called as weekly goals or monthly goals. You could say them and you can take them as your milestones. But those milestones are more like milestones in the journey, right? You kind of go, okay, I've traveled this far and I have this more to go going forward. And that way you can track your progress and know that whatever you did as tasks, whatever you did as goals in all those months that have gone by, you have made a certain amount of milestone progress. So identify milestones so you can then associate your progress with these milestones, and you can know, yes, you're walking in the right direction or traveling in the right direction, which will give you a little bit more certainty in the middle of your journey or somewhere in the quarter half of your journey and so forth. Now, that's the first strategic shift. The second strategic shift that you need is to understand that less is going to be more. You see, our brains, our minds are wired to do the most easiest thing it can do. It always wants to hijack the path. It wants to go to the path of least resistance. And that is why it's hard to break habits, because habits are the easiest to implement. If you have a habit of something, it's very easy for you to show up and actually deliver to that habit versus creating a new habit, because that's easy for your mind to actually do. So you always want to design your life around where all of your soul, your body, your mind is actually working in your favor. And that is why less is more. Ask yourself this question: what is the path for minimum effort, the least resistance, and easiest for you to achieve your goal? And identify that path. Don't find the more complicated paths that seem like it will take a lot of effort, seem like you have to do a whole different thing, seems like that's not even in congruence with you, who you are as a being, because it's a marketing strategy by somebody else and it's naturally true to you. Because when you do that, you will find that your brain will fight it. Your mind's going to fight it because it's going to be like, I don't even like doing this. Why am I doing it? And if you would choose the path of least resistance that is congruent with you, because you're like, oh, this is easy. I feel easy while even saying yes to this. I feel congruent when I'm saying yes to this. It will make it much easier for your mind to actually follow through on that commitment. A recent example from my own business that you may have realized and may have seen is around end of 2019, we started a podcast. It was called the EverCoach Podcast. We launched the podcast. It was doing good. It was growing month on month, week on week, right? And we were doing okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Podcast started at a particular level and then it stagnates, and then you do a couple more episodes, it goes up. And so it was taking its journey, right? But as it was taking its journey, as the leader of that podcast, I was like, I don't like doing it. Like, I actually don't enjoy sitting down for like interviews and getting them done as like, oh, I have to get them done. Instead of like putting my soul into it, feeling really joyous about it, feeling excited about what I'm about to talk about. And so I stopped the podcast. And a few months later, I realized, I came to this understanding of asking myself this question. It's like, hey, what's the most easiest path, convenient path, things that I would really enjoy, things that is in alignment with me. And it came to me, I want to do a podcast, but it was completely different to what I was doing before. You see, I like this format where I can sit down with you and we can have a real conversation. Like, it's not 5-minute video where I'm just trying to like, surface level give you something. I want to give you something that shifts your reality. I want to give you something that really moves you. I want to give you something that you watch and you go, wow, that was amazing. That was like a masterclass that I should have paid a couple of $100 for, and he just came in and showed up for me, so you get to win. Because that's really my intent of doing all of this, right? I want to make sure that you win, that we create more quality coaches in the world, that these coaches go out and create more impact in the world. And that's really my intent. And if that is not getting fulfilled, why am I even doing anything, right? So with that in mind, I said, okay, I want to do a podcast, but it's going to be my style. It may not fit the narrative of what creates fast-growing podcasts, but it will be me. So I'm going to go out and do that, right? So that congruence got me to create Master Coaching with Ajit, which is very specific podcast. It has deep dives where we go into very specific topics. We invest like 40 minutes or so in each of the topic, each of the question that you guys sent me. I put out coaching demonstration videos where you can actually listen to a coaching conversation and see for yourself how a coaching conversation may reveal, and so on and so forth. And that feels so congruent to me. Lo and behold, we create the new format, we launch it, and about 3 or 4 weeks later, my podcast manager, who's also my YouTube manager, sends me a message saying, Ajit, like each of the podcast episode has done twice as well as our best podcast that we did previously. Like, people are absolutely loving the new format. And I realized, duh, right? If I love what I am doing, you would love watching it and listening to it, because I will have my heart poured out for you. And because my heart is poured out for you, you of course will be like, hell yeah, dude, like, come on, give it to me, because I see you, I feel you. And that was just a simple realization. But sometimes we all need to have that realization. So I hope this story, this communication is helping you realize the same element, is that it's okay. Sometimes it feels counterintuitive to stop doing something and start doing something that is more congruent to you. But it is probably one of the biggest strategic shifts that you can have in your reality and create outcomes for you. And that brings me to the last element of less is more, which is the strategic shifts that you're creating in your life to be able to double your coaching business in 2022, irrespective of it's a life coaching, business coaching, or health coaching business. It will double it. And that is, ask yourself, what is it that your heart is not there in anymore? What is it that my heart is not in anymore? And the reason we want to ask this question is for the story that I just shared with you. Is a lot of times we are attached to things that we don't have heart in anymore, and we feel like it's going to end our identity. That's our one thing. But sometimes letting go of something creates space for something new that is so much more bigger, more powerful, more amplifying, more abundant, that you probably want to lean into that direction anyways. So my invitation for you is, as a strategic shift, also ask yourself the question, what is it that I need to let go of? What is it that my heart is not in anymore? What is it that I'm not excited about anymore? So you can identify it and then let it go over time. So let's get to the last shift, and this is the tactical shift. The easiest way to grow your coaching business in 2022 tactically is to increase your fees. I know, the moment I said that, you went, you are among those people. Increase your fee, double your fee, and double your fee, you've doubled your business. Great. All of this to lead to this, Ajit, really? And I'm here to tell you that, first of all, anybody that tells you double your fee immediately doesn't really understand how it works. You see, if I tell you to double your fee right now, what's going to happen? The two things that are going to happen. On your client level, if your client hears you double your fee, they'll be like, I don't know if that is something that now relates to the value that I was getting. Even if you're highly valuable as a person and as a coach, they will find it difficult to justify a sudden increase of twice the amount that you were charging before. And secondly, when you are trying to say double the amount of fee right now, for you might have internal resistance. You might, in your body, you might go, oh, I don't know if I feel like I can just double my fee just because I'm thinking about it differently. And I don't know if I can really say it with confidence. After talking to a lot of coaches, I can very comfortably say that most coaches struggle to just double their fee. They struggle to just say the double the amount of money they were saying before. And so sometimes they don't make an offer. They make the offer, they undercut themselves. They have different responses to that kind of tactic which says, hey, double the fee. So here is how you actually go about doing it. So you don't simply just double your fee. Here is what you do when you want to increase your fee. You want to understand that there are two changes that you're trying to create. Firstly is a change in your client's perception of you. So it needs to change, but it needs to change slowly. It can't abruptly be different. And second change that you're trying to create is in your own being. You need to believe what you're about to say. Otherwise, you're not going to say it confidently. You're not going to say it sometimes. You're not going to say it confidently. Or you're going to try to give too much for that fee that you're about to charge. So here's how you do it safely, confidently, which will actually happen if you stick to what I'm suggesting. For the sake of example and for extrapolation, let me take an example that you charge $1,000 a client a month, right? So let's say you have 12 clients a year, you only take one client every month, and you charge $1,000 to them, hypothetically, right? That would mean that you make about $12,000 right now. You make $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, so forth, right? Now, what I want you to do in 2022 is that every time you make an offer, you need to up your price by only 10% from what you charged previously. So for example, in December 2021, if your last enrollment was for your last price, which was $1,000, in January, your offer is going to be $1,000 plus 10%, $1,100. It's not a lot of change. It's only $100 more. It actually adjusts to inflation very easily depending on where you are in the world. Like, it's not that much of a thing considering the inflation around globally. So 10% more is not that much more, right? So for $1,000, now you're charging 10% more, it's $1,100. But in month two, what you're going to do, which is in February, is you're going to take that $1,100 and you're going to bump it by 10% more. So now what will happen is you have $1,100 at 10% more. Your new fee is $1,210. Now let's keep doing this math for the next 12 months, and I'm going to put that up on the screen so you can see it. The third month, we're going to take $1,210, bump it by 10%. It will make it $1,331. Now let's take $1,331, bump it by 10%. It becomes $1,464. In the fifth month, we'll take $1,464, bump it by 10%. It'll become $1,610. In 6 months, we'll add 10% more to $1,610, and that will make it $1,771. In the 7th month, we'll take the $1,771, bump it by 10%, it'll become $1,948. So first of all, by month 7, you've already doubled the fee that you're doing, just by increasing it by 10%, which is a reasonable number for you and for your clients to experience month after month. Now, let's do the 8th month. In the 8th month, you will do $1,948, bump it by 10%, $2,142, $2,142 in 9th month, bumped by 10% will give you $2,356. 2,356 bumped by 10% will give you 2,591. 2,591 bumped by 10% will give you 2,850. 2,850 bumped by 10% in the 12th month will give you $3,125. Now, that means you will have tripled your fee in the last 12 months, right? So you going into 2023, your fee is about $3,000. So you've tripled your fee if you just kept the process of saying every single time I'm getting a yes, I'm bumping my fee by 10%. Every single time I'm getting a yes, I'm bumping my fee by 10%. And it's a reasonable experience for your body to accept, and it is reasonable for your clients to accept, and it is tripling the fee that you could charge. Now, there might be a point where while you're bumping this by 10%, somewhere in your body you go, now it doesn't feel right. And you can stop there, and that's okay. But just for the sake of this extrapolation, if you were able to get comfortable in your body and your clients get comfortable with the 10% bump that they're experiencing, you will be at a place where you had 3 times what you were end of 2021. But here is the math that is interesting. Even while you're bumping only by 10% each month, if you total up all of the amounts for 2022 by bumping it 10% every single month for 12 months, the total number that you get at the end of the year that you would have received is $23,588. Now, it's not exact double of 12,000, but it is very close to double of 12,000. So tactically, all you need to think about is when I get a yes, can I get 10% more? And that's it. You see, using a strategy that allows for gradual, consistent change is much easier than trying to just double the price. So my invitation for you is to stop listening to people that tell you just double your price and think about what is it that your client will be able to accept. And secondly, and more importantly, you will be able to own in your body, in your soul, in your confidence, in your offer that you're about to make to your client. Because a better way to grow your business over a long period of time is to stay consistent with yourself, is to stay in alignment with yourself and be able to make offers that feel right to you, feel right to your client, because then is when a real partnership and a real agreement is made. So with that in mind, think about what that percentage for you looks like that feels comfortable. It can be 10, it can be 20%, it can be 5%, but know that this gradual strategy is the real strategy, the real tactical gain for you to be able to double your income as a life coach, business coach, wellness coach, health coach, whatever kind of coach you are in 2022. So with these 3 shifts, the psychological shift, the strategic shift, and the tactical shift, you have all the assets in place that can help you double your coaching business in 2022. Which one of these shifts stood out for you? Which one of the element in these 3 shifts may have been something you are like, I'm curious about that, so I want to explore more. Share that with me in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what happened for you in the last few minutes as we discussed how to double your coaching business in 2022. If you like this video, hit that like button. If there's a friend of yours that is trying to double their coaching business in the coming year, share this video with them. I think this will help them also double their coaching business. And while we all grow together, humanity rises even better. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Coach Ajit, and you're watching this on EverCoach.